In the United Kingdom, the British railway sector resumes a 48-hour strike to demand better salaries. And also, the Chinese army reported that it maintained high alert during the passage of the U.S. Chunhoon missile destroyer through the Taiwan Strait. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. On Friday, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro Moros announced a series of changes related to the government's cabinet and the national petroleum company PDVSA. The Venezuelan president took to Twitter to announce the appointment of Yvan Gil Pinto as the new Chancellor of Venezuela, a responsibility that the head of state says he is confident Gil Pinto will carry out with great professionalism. Maduro also thanked former Chancellor Carlos Faria for his outstanding work and stated that in the coming days he will be given the new tasks. And next, President Maduro announced the new leadership of the national flagship petroleum company PDVSA that will be presided over by Pedro Rafael Tellechea. Maduro praised Tellechea's experience at the head of the Venezuelan chemical industry company Pequiven and assured that he will consolidate the impulse of the national oil industry. Maduro also highlighted the work of Asdrúbal Chávez, who will soon have new responsibilities. And finally, he indicated that Colonel Aníbal Coronado will be the head of the government of the island territory Francisco de Miranda, a region of great potential that must be promoted as a strategic area for national development. President Maduro said Coronado's experience will be vital for the fulfillment of the task. On Thursday, La Paz's first anti-corruption sentencing court rejected the release action filed by Santa Cruz Governor Luis Fernando Camacho, who remains in the pre-trial detention at the Chonchocoro maximum security prison. While the hearing was held virtually, the outskirts of the prison remained surrounded by social organizations which held a vigil to demand 30 years in prison for the far-right politician. Camacho's defense lawyers requested that his client be taken every 20 days to a medical center to receive treatment for alleged illnesses, among which they mentioned hypogammaglobulinemia and Church-Strauss syndrome. The response to this request, the court ordered authorities to allow Camacho to have access to what is necessary to guarantee his health and to attend a medical center in case of emergency. The president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, anticipated or participated in the first ministerial meeting of his government with the purpose of addressing the agendas and priorities of the management of each portfolio. Lula da Silva expressed that the government has had hard tasks ahead and urged a good relationship with the Congress and unity to put an end to family disputes. In addition, he demanded respect for the laws and the Constitution. The meeting dealt with governmental coordination, the upcoming challenges of each ministry, and the actions to be carried out, besides the relationship with other federal entities. The ministers also discussed with Lula da Silva the measures to be taken in the first 100 days based on the reports produced by the technical groups that were in charge of the transition. The Mexican government informed on Thursday the detention of the son of the drug trafficker Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán Loera, Ovidio Guzmán López, one of the leaders of a faction of the Sinaloa cartel. Guzmán López was captured in Sinaloa on Thursday after a 6-month surveillance operation. Gunfire and carjackings have been reported in the city of Culiacán in an apparent backlash after armed forces carried out a raid early on Thursday. A Mexican airline said a plane scheduled to fly from the city was hit by bullets before taking off. Defense Minister Luis Crescencio Sandoval said Guzmán López is accused of leading a faction of his father's notorious Sinaloa cartel, one of the largest drug trafficking organizations in the world. On Thursday, Chile's Constitution Committee of the Chamber of Deputies started receiving hearings to address the project of a new constituted process, which must be sent to the Chamber on January the 10th. The reform establishes the procedure for the elaboration and approval of a new constitution. This comes about after the proposal from the Constitutional Convention installed in 2021 failed to be approved in the plebiscite of the last September the 4th. The new instance was generated within the transversal agreement called Agreement for Chile, in which the government of Gabriel Boric and the opposition parties converge. The legislators scheduled 2 sessions to receive hearings and another 2 to vote the bill. The Senate has approved already, in general, the bill that enables a new constituted process. Now we move on to other topics. Peaceful protests in Peru against the government of Dina Boluarte entered their 3rd consecutive day on Friday, with demands for the release of former President Pedro Castillo, the closure of the Congress, the advancement of general elections, and the convening of a constituted process. In the early hours of the day, traffic was interrupted in 46 points within 8 different regions, according to the National Office of Land Transportation of People, Cargo, and Goods. Mobilizations are stronger in the southern part of the country. This happens a day after protests were reported in the departments of Apurimac, Arequipa, Ayacucho, Puno, Cusco, and Tacna. According to local media, demonstrations and roadblocks took place in Abancay, Andahuaylas, and Aymaras, provinces of Apurimac. Let's take a short break, but first, remember you can follow us on our TikTok account at TeleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Other studies coming up, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Weeks after Hawaii's Mauna Loa volcano erupted for the first time in decades, neighboring volcano Kilauea is showing activity again on Thursday after a brief pause. Kilauea, which had stopped erupting last month for the first time since September 2021, has increased earthquake activity beneath its summit and recorded ground deformation, as officials said. A glow was detected in nearby webcam images indicating that the eruption has resumed within Halema Umau crater in Kilauea's summit main vent at Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Officials have elevated Kilauea's volcano alert level to a warning status, as well as updated its aviation color code from orange to red. According to Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, the eruption is currently confined to the crater and poses no hazard to communities. Kilauea's eruption in 2018 was one of the most destructive in recent Hawaii history. And multiple people were wounded in a shooting after an altercation outside a restaurant in South Florida, United States. It wasn't immediately clear how many people were hit by gunfire, but a law enforcement source said that many as 10 people were wounded in the shooting outside a soul food restaurant in Miami Gardens. The county's police chief, Delma Noel Pratt, said it was an isolated incident, and investigators were looking into reports that a video was being shot at the restaurant. Noel Pratt also said that the condition of those hurt was unknown, but there were no fatalities. And after Russia decreed a 36-hour ceasefire to mark Orthodox Christmas, Ukraine did not abide by the truce. Moscow urged Kyiv to declare a truce on the occasion of the Orthodox Christmas as well. In this sense, the Kremlin sent a communique asking its Ukrainian counterpart for a ceasefire given the large number of Orthodox citizens living in the conflict zones to allow them to attend services both on Christmas Eve and Christmas. For its part, Kyiv has refused to respect a ceasefire, and President Volodymyr Zelensky pointed out to the Russian initiative as an excuse to stop an alleged Ukrainian offensive. The truce came into force this Friday at 12 o'clock local time in the conflict zones and is expected to last until midnight Saturday, January the 7th. And French bakeries demanded government assistance amid warnings that the country's iconic boulangeries face an existential threat due to the double hit of higher wheat and energy prices. In this context, French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire said that all energy suppliers had committed to dissolve contracts when prices have risen prohibitively high and unsustainable for most bakeries. Le Maire also said that contracts will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis, depending on the owner's situation, and financial assistance may be offered. Meanwhile, the government also announced plans to support the industry by allowing bakers to spread tax payments and suggested that further cash support for energy bills may follow. On Friday, in the United Kingdom, the British railway sector resumes a 48-hour strike to demand better salaries. Members of the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union, the largest union in the rail sector, have joined this new measure after going on strike earlier in the week. Network Rail estimates that only 20% of rail services will be operational on Friday. The leaders of both unions will meet with Rail Minister Hugh Merriman on Monday to continue negotiations. In the meantime, the Rishi Sunak government has raised tensions by promising service levels during rail strikes. Talks of this new anti-strike legislation planned to be imposed in key public sectors has provoked a furious reaction from the unions. And the Spanish police dismantled in Malaga a criminal group dedicated to labor exploitation and the fraudulent revelation of undocumented immigrants, mainly Moroccans, who were charged up to €3,000. As shown in a video released by the National Police, the agents entered and searched 4 homes in the province of Malaga, in which they seized more than €50,000 in cash and abundant documentation. In the operation, 43 people of various nationalities were arrested, including the leaders of the group. It is believed that at least 7 agricultural companies were involved in the labor exploitation scheme. Spain is a key gateway to Europe for illegal immigration from Africa. In 2022, more than 31,200 people entered the country without permission. However, this is 25% less than in the previous year. And the heat continues to hit Europe after one of the hottest summers in history. December and January continue to break records, according to a report published by the World Meteorological Organization, the WMO. Temperatures above 20 degrees Celsius were observed in many European countries, including Central Europe. Some national and many local temperature records were broken for December and January in several countries, from Spain to Eastern Europe, the agency reported. Likewise, on December 31st, a maximum temperature of 25.1 degrees Celsius was recorded in the Spanish city of Bilbao, but the following day, January the 1st, the thermometers in that city registered 24.4 degrees. Both are the highest temperatures measured at this time of the year. The WMO called attention to the increase in intensity of extreme heat, while these temperatures are expected to continue to rise. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. On Friday, the Chinese army reported that it maintained high alert during the passage of the USS Chun Hun missile destroyer through the Taiwan strait. Beijing rejects these actions and affirms that they generate instability in the region. The government urged Washington to stop provoking conflicts, escalating tensions, and undermining peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. Beijing assures that it will remain on high alert and is prepared to respond to any threats and provocations to safeguard its national sovereignty and the territorial integrity. On Friday in Somalia, an attack by the extremist group Al-Shabaab on a military camp in a village in the central state of Hirshabelle left 6 soldiers dead. According to the report, the action was carried out in the locality of Hilowegab, where government troops dislodged the armed group last week. The incursion of the extremist group occurred 2 days after 2 car bombs exploded in the district of Mahas, in the central territory of Hiran, in which 35 people were killed and 50 others were wounded. Attacks by the Al-Shabaab militia, which has been trying to overthrow the Somali government since 2007, increased against military and civilian targets after President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud declared total war against the extremist group last June. The government of Senegal banned a demonstration that meant to denounce the lack of resources in the fight against COVID-19. The opposition had scheduled this mobilization for next Friday in the city of Dakar after the Court of Accounts audit report got published. According to demonstrators, this document provides evidence of irregularities in the management of the anti-COVID funds. In this sense, local authorities denied the permission, alleging roadworks in the place, besides the preparations for the celebration of Independence Day next April the 4th. On Friday, at least 16 people were killed and 21 others injured in northern Uganda after the bus they were traveling in crashed, local media reported. Police said they believe the stationary trailer that the bus crashed into may have been improperly parked at the Adibi Trading Center in the northern Kyoga region, the East African newspaper reported. The center is a popular stop and the checkpoint in the northern nation. On Tuesday, traffic police said 104 road accidents had been recorded in Uganda between December the 30th, 2022 and January the 1st, 2023 in 28 of them, and people had lost their lives, said the Deputy Superintendent of Police, Frida Manpina. Now we move on to other topics. On Thursday, the World Health Organization said that the latest Omicron subvariant is the most transmissible strain of COVID-19 yet. However, it does not seem to make people sicker. Data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows that the new subvariant XBB.1.5 has spread quickly across the northeastern U.S. and accounts for about 41% of confirmed cases across the nation. Maria van Kerkhove, the WHO's COVID-19 technical lead, warned about the number of people infected with this subvariant that has doubled in the U.S. about every 2 weeks and has been detected in 29 countries. Experts said this is just as skills at dodging antibodies from vaccines and infection as the previous XBB and XBB.1 variants. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.